we look at the world and we see that the world points to a creator. And one of the evidences of that is the idea of contingency. Now, your argument was, well, what if it's infinite? But my point to you is that if it is infinite, you lose the concept of time. Go on, Steve, sorry. Why?
Did God need Mary's womb for 9 months?
A great question.
I didn't expect anything less.
Not from the mighty Steve. So the question was best answered by our father in faith, Athanasius, who said that that which is not incarnate is not redeemed. The incarnation of our Lord Jesus Christ was essential to the redemption of humanity. God was redeeming us in our flesh. He was allowed.
What does redeeming mean?
It means to be, as it were, to be brought out of its debt, to be ransomed. Yes, exactly. Human beings, because of our sin, Steve, have been cut off from God. We don't know God. We can't be in communion with God. And because our nature is filled with sin, we have no basis to enter into it.
Another way of putting it, that God felt he could best communicate with us and make us right or whatever by coming to us in our own form.
It is the best form of communication, yes. Because the thing is, if I communicate to you in Latin, and I say something like, Confitio Dei Omnipotenti et vobis
Jesus
fretres.
wasn't multilingual.
No, yeah, he was. He spoke Greek and Aramaic and Hebrew. Yeah. So let me answer your question. A bit more than Muhammad. Definitely more than Muhammad, who could barely speak Arabic by the sounds of it. So, because Muhammad borrows non-Arabic words and puts them in the Quran. He borrows Syriac words. So a pure Arabic Quran actually has Syriac words in it. So let me come to your point. If I communicate, no, I haven't. The fuller answer is the more glorious.
Satisfied with your answer, move on.
You just want to move on. So let me.
No, he's explained it in understandable terms. Good. So what's the point of making it richer? That's a waste of words, isn't it? That's a waste of words.
No. I'm going. Listen. If I communicate to you in Latin,
I know you don't need to explain it.
And I communicate to you in Arabic, you're always going to be at the mercy of the translator. Like the Arabs and the Muslims want to make us all at the mercy of the Arabs. But if you never speak a word to me and a car is going to hit you and I push you out of the way and I take the hit myself, you don't need to know much about me to know what I've done for you. I've communicated something selfless to you, self-giving towards you. And this is a story that you can then tell in every language because it's translatable. And so when our God becomes a man, he becomes a man so that his story can be told in every language, in every tribe, and in every tongue. So that a confederacy of the church can be drawn from every race of equals worshipping God together. Perfect. Unlike in Islam, where we are called to be the slaves and the subjects of the Arabs, bowing to an Arab city, copying an Arab man, taking on their cultural norms and traditions. So our God is a God for the world.
Are there no cultural traditions of Christianity?
Yes, many, from many different nations. Because those nations, and this is why the incarnation is important, because the incarnation is about the redemption of humanity.
Why did Jesus not travel the world?
He didn't need to.
Why not?
He sent the apostles.
The apostles travelled the world.
Well, Thomas got as far as India.
Which one came here?
None of them. Well, not the first apostles, but we Christians. Exactly. The concept of the apostle is one who is sent. So if a church sends someone, they are an apostle. So we English had our apostles. They came and they taught us monotheism, the worship of the one true God, to not worship the trees and the sun as our ancestors did.
I'm going to stick with the trees, as you know.
You're not pagan, Steve.
The trees give us oxygen. The trees give us carbohydrate. They are my sources of life.
Do you worship those things?
I respect them.
I respect them.
I have awe for them.
I respect them. Do you know why I respect them?
They give you oxygen and carbohydrate.
No, because they were made by my Creator.
These ones absorb the pollution for us.
These things are not in conflict. I respect them because they're given to me by my creator.
Basically, if you want to use the word worship, I will worship real things and real things that support my life.
Is being real?
Obviously.
Right. So do you think that all being is contingent?
Contingent what, on one another?
On different things, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that you can have an infinite line of contingency?
Probably not.
No, which means that all being has to be grounded in some other reality, agreed?
What does that mean? What does that statement mean?
It means that, so basically what it's saying is that all being as we can feel it, see it, touch it, hear it, has to have had a start, a creator, that is not the thing it's created.
Not the thing that it's created.
Yeah.
Be a base reality.
There's got to be a base reality that is not the thing that comes from the base reality.
Right.
It's other to the base reality. This is what we call God. Now, do you agree that my argument is logical?
Calling it God is...
Yeah, we can argue about that later, but is my argument logical?
Well, but before one thing, something else came, yes.
Yeah, but then that chain of contingency can't be infinite, and so there has to be some other thing.
I mean, to be honest, that's beyond our current understanding, isn't
It is. The logic is not beyond our understanding.
No, but you can't apply common sense, man on the street logic to things that are highly complex.
Why not?
Because neither of us, with all respect, are that intelligent.
But my argument doesn't contradict any empirical science.
Because you're trying to simplify something that I don't think can necessarily be simplified.
On what grounds?
Because we are of limited mind.
Agreed. Okay. Thank you for that interlude. So my point to you is, bro, if all contingent things go back, they must have a starting point. But that starting point can't be the same thing as all these contingent things. Which means that the thing that started them...
Because they wouldn't be contingent.
Exactly. So that means that the thing that started them isn't in the chain of contingency.
The thing that started them.
Yeah, the thing that started them.
Maybe it is infinite. And that's my point. It's beyond our...
But when we talk about infinite, we reach other problems if we try to use that argument.
Well, let's not use that word.
Well, but the point is, you're using the concept. So regardless of what word...
Let's not use the concept.
Great, I'm agreed.
Let's just assume it could have gone on and the
But that's
entity
but that's infinite, Steve. That's infinite.
Well, maybe it was. Who knows?
We do know.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't.
And the reason...
How do we know that there wasn't something for infinity in the past?
The reason what?
How do we know that?
Right, because if you have an infinite past, how do you get to the present?
You can still move in time.
But you've got an infinite past.
Well, anything that's infinite, you can move along that spectrum of infinity.
But that means that means that time doesn't move.
You can still move through something that is infinite.
If you have an infinite
past,
past,
a ruler that is infinite can still be moved along. Can it not?
If you have, my point to you is, if you have an infinite past, you have to abandon the perception of time.
Well, let's think about the ruler. If a ruler isn't infinite, you can still move along the ruler.
If the ruler is infinite, where's the beginning?
Well, it's not. It doesn't have one.
Exactly. So how do you get to the present?
Move along it.
But my point to you is,
stick with the ruler.
Do you perceive time?
You can move along the ruler.
Do you perceive time?
And I perceive measurement along the ruler as well.
Do you know what the I think it's the third or the fourth law of thermodynamics is?
Remind me.
It's the idea that complex systems will move to less complexity over time. That is how we conceive of time.
That's not how biology works.
Yeah, it is. That's why we decay and die.
Complexity evolves out of non-complexity.
When you die,
that is the fact of life. That is the fact of biology.
And that's proof of God.
Are you agreeing with me now? Because you just said the opposite.
No, well,
you said simplicity comes from complexity. I've said the reverse.
I'm saying
which do you think is true?
Thermodynamics shows that a complex system will fall into chaos.
Well, that rule does not apply to biology.
Agreed. It doesn't apply to that biology because we got that spark of life, which is another proof of God's existence. Because it flows in the opposite
I've
direction.
Demonstrated, which you've agreed, in the sphere of biology, complexity comes out of simplicity.
And then we'll go back into chaos. You rise out of...
Does biological complexity come out of biological simplicity? Yes or no?
Biological complexity comes out of biological simplicity, yes.
Yes, but it does. Why does that end in chaos?
Because you die.
That's not chaos.
And your
That's
atoms,
nothing like chaos.
your atoms, which is an
How is dying like chaos?
because you return to
It's the
dust.
natural process of life.
Because your atoms will break into dust.
And then be recycled by the fungus, by the beetle,
Exactly.
by the hedgehog, by
And
the
and the
fox.
spark of life,
So it's not
Steve.
just disappearing in dust.
And the
is it?
spark, exactly the spark.
That's the interconnectedness that you referred to.
I want to show you something in the Bible.
Right.
I want to show you something in the Bible. Right?
I've got you. I've
No,
got
no,
my
no.
job, and
We're actually on the same page. We're on the same page.
You're kind of agreeing with points that I'm making. but
Yes,
you're saying the
because
reverse.
the narrative, you're stating a fact, but the narrative in which you want to couch that fact is what I disagree with. Not the fact, but the narrative surrounding the fact. We agree on the fact, but we disagree about the narrative that surrounds the fact. So let me just put this.
You are throwing in statements there, though, that like saying like chaos comes out of diversity coming out of simplicity.
The spark of life is a proof of God's existence.
You're
Because
being a bit random now because you're throwing in random statements. that
so
aren't in line with.
I'm going to show you the Genesis parable. The Genesis parable, because you know that
I
I'm not.
preferred it when Phil Collins was in it. to be
Yeah,
honest.
the Genesis parable, not that Genesis, the other one. Right? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of the
form
deep.
of earth that's formless.
Right. So this is the point. What the
Meaningless, isn't it?
No, what it's talking about is that the primordial state of the universe was one of chaos.
Oh, so when it says form, it means order.
Yes,
Is what you're saying.
exactly. You've got it. That's exactly what it means in the Hebrew. It means form. Now, my point to you is that firstly, the fact that Genesis is talking about something we know to be true, even though it was beyond the time of Iron Age man to know, is another evidence for you that God is the one inspiring the scriptures.
It's not
But-
particularly strong line
but-
that all the Bible knew something before we developed the
No,
scientific
I'm
knowledge.
not. I don't rest my faith on that. I'm just pointing out to you it is in evidence. Multiple evidences point in the same direction. The spark of life, the ordering of chaos, the fact that Genesis spoke about them at a time when Bronze Age man could not possibly have known. But he did.
You are sounding like a Muslim now.
Right. Hold on one second. You know that's not
Making
true.
spurious.
That's not true.
Making spurious.
You
my
stabbed me,
my
Steve.
Bible says this,
You
and now
stabbed
we know
me.
this. Oh,
You
it's
stabbed
got
me
to
in
be
my
true.
heart.
It's got to be true.
So my point to you is that we look at the world and we see that the world points to a creator. And one of the evidences of that is the idea of contingency. Now your argument was, well, what if it's infinite? But my point to you is that if it is infinite, you lose the concept of time.
But then I brought up the ruler.
Yes.
To have an infinitely long ruler doesn't stop you moving along the ruler.
But where can you
So
start?
your argument, it doesn't matter. How does that impact whether you can move along something? The argument of where it starts.
Because if the ruler is infinite, how do you move along something that's always infinite?
Because I arrived at this point on the ruler,
Yeah.
or I arrived at this point of time. There's no argument to say
Right.
it can't be infinite in either direction.
But Steve, what that indicates to you is that the ruler is not infinite.
Why not? Because you can arrive on a measure
Yeah.
at a point in time does not prove it can't be infinite at the other end.
Because
Why?
if you arrive at a certain point,
Yes.
yeah, because we're talking about time.
Yeah.
If you arrive at a certain point,
I'm still going to bring up the ruler
yeah,
comparison. but
and then you move in time.
Yes.
It means that time is contingent, and contingency can't be infinite. Exactly, time is relative.
So you're arguing you can't have relativity.
No, I
on a
believe in
scale
relativity.
that has infinity.
You
scale that is-
cannot have if you have infinite space time, you can't have relative space time.
Why not?
Because
I'm failing to grasp. Maybe I'm dumb. I'm failing to grasp that argument.
because time, if it is infinite, you never get to the present.
It's the same argument for that end of time as that end of time.
Yeah, you're moving.
So time's going to end.
Yes, time's going to end. Time has to end.
It has to end.
It has to end.
Not only is it has to.
Yes, it has to.
So you're saying it's like a thing. Time isn't a thing that ends.
Well, no.
Well, time. I mean,
Weird.
to the
Too
best
abstract.
of our knowledge, time and space are equivalent. So right here is also right now. So you're traveling both through time and space at this exact moment in time. Yeah. So you're traveling. You're a traveler. You're moving through this
Someone's got
dimension.
to bring up the TARDIS at some point.
Yeah, someone's going to bring it. It might as well be you, Steve. Might as well be you. I wouldn't want to steal you from your heckling role. But my point to you is,
I don't. Am I failing to grasp a well-known principle here of saying you can't have a moving scale, be it time or measurement or distance, and infinity?
how would you measure it?
Centimeters, meters.
Right, but that means it's not infinite.
Why not?
Because
Why cannot the centimeters go on infinitely in that direction or that direction?
Because time and space are the same thing. I mean, we could just sort of settle this
Just
argument.
answer why? Because you can measure something in units.
Yes.
Can that thing that you're measuring in units not
Yeah.
be infinite in one direction or other?
Infinite
Both.
units. Units can be anything.
Well, you heard of -1, -2, -3. I mean,
Yeah. So,
that goes on and on and on and on.
But this should tell you that this idea of infinity is not something that is in this universe. Point to me anything in the created order that is infinite.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We don't know whether the whole existence of the universe
Okay.
is time-bound or infinite.
To the best of our knowledge,
We might have some theories.
to the best of our knowledge, our universe is expanding. To the best of our knowledge, our universe is expanding from a singularity. So, to the best of our knowledge, what we conceive of as the great cosmos was at one time a singularity.
But everything we're talking about doesn't apply to God. So there is something outside of all of this.
Exactly, Steve. That's the point I'm making
your
to you.
story.
Is that for these things to make any sense at all, empirically it makes sense, philosophically it makes sense, to say that there is a non-contingent other to all the contingent being.
Unless it's Pantheists, which is another, that's a switch, right?
Well, the problem with pantheism is that you've still got the problem of contingency.
Okay, explain.
So if you say that everything in creation is God,
Yes.
you've still got to address the issue of contingency. That you are contingent on your parents, who are contingent on their parents, who eventually are contingent upon some kind of microorganism that evolved at some point in the sea that sparked into life from how? From chemistry that just came together and became living.
Is it just not self-aware? It's just the nature of existence is inevitable.
Well, this is the point. This is the
It's
point.
inevitable, right?
The nature of existence, the nature of existence isn't inevitable. We have no reason to.
know non-being, right? You cannot know non-being. It's impossible.
Well, I mean, agreed. Knowledge would presume being,
There's only being.
but being. But that's my point. All being that we are aware of, the sun, the moon, the stars, the earth we're standing on, the atoms that make us up, they're all contingencies,
Yeah.
and that contingency can't be infinite.
So can I ask, is my soul contingent?
Yes, it was created.
Right. So when I die, following your belief,
Yeah.
my soul leaves my physical body and it
Yeah.
goes one of two places. My understanding was that it's then there forever, and it lives forever. Is that not true? My soul comes to an end. You said everything comes to an end.
Yeah. I mean, I'm of the
When does
opinion.
my soul
Wait.
end?
My opinion. I am of the opinion that. I am of the opinion that souls are burned into destruction in hell.
And in heaven?
They live eternity with God.
Oh, so the soul is a contingent thing that can live forever.
Great, this is brilliant,
Got ya,
Steve.
got
Because,
ya.
no, because now we come back to your very first question. Right, we Christians believe in a doctrine that we call theosis. Okay?
That a bit like osmosis.
Yeah. It is this idea.
Explain it to me.
It is this idea that at the incarnation, God allows our human nature to be partakers in the divine nature.
So the contingent chooses to become non-contingent.
The contingent, yes, by its choices,
That sounds a bit
allows itself
Beyond the rules.
to be drawn into the divinity and to be a partaker of a
I'm
divine
sorry,
attribute.
but I'm going to get a bit
which is eternal
insulting
life.
Now, but that sounds ridiculous because everything you've argued now
Why is it ridiculous?
goes out the window because you're saying everything's contingent except for God. I then asked you, are souls contingent? You
Yeah.
said they are.
They're created.
But now you said, but
They can
if
go on
your
living.
soul ends up in the right place, it becomes non-contingent. So miraculously,
No.
it
Sorry.
changes.
Let me rephrase this. It's
Maybe.
not that they don't have a. It's not that they don't have a beginning. So they're always contingent, but their being is allowed to continue because they have become a partaker of the divine nature.
Don't they have that at the beginning though? Isn't the soul?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
eternal, though,
That,
from
no, the
beginning?
souls are not created.
But isn't the breath of God goes into the body, right, and then animates the body?
Yeah, that's what the Bible is saying about them being created.
That breath is the first cause, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a metaphor of God creating
So
the
the soul is contingent.
So it's,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The soul is.
But it can last forever.
Yeah, contingent means that your being is dependent on something else.
But you also say it means about this infinite.
But no, something that is contingent can be eternal.
Oh.
But
Well,
something.
that's your whole. I thought the whole argument about the ruler was that it can't be.
No, the ruler can't
the
be
time,
infinite.
or the-
Time can't be infinite.
how can someone not be though? That's the tricky one for me. The non-being aspect. If they're destroyed in, if some go to heaven and some are destroyed,
In hell.
they don't know about non-being. There's no knowledge of it. There's no.
Yeah, the knowledge is destroyed.
Yeah, so they will never have the experience of being destroyed. They cannot know it.
Well, no, they have been destroyed.
But they cannot know that.
If I tear this book
know
up, if I tear this book up and destroy it, if I burn it in fire and reduce it to ash,
It'll still be atomic. It'll still exist in another form.
yeah, but the book no longer exists.
Yes, but the essence of the book is still atomically.
The
You can't
inf-
destroy energy. The
The-
book is present.
within material terms, I agree. You cannot destroy nor create energy
Yes.
or matter.
Yes.
They simply transfer from one to the other. We're both in agreement.
Yeah.
We're both in agreement. But you've still got the issue of contingency.
Well, yeah, but it's in another form. It doesn't matter. Those atoms will get breathed in by someone, a pregnant mother, for example. My body's built on.
Yep. But
continual
the
thing.
soul is not infinite. Creation is not
Is
infinite.
the soul not energy then? Is it not a form of energy?
It's
Is it
not
something
a,
outside of an energetic system?
it's a metaphysical existence. It's a metaphysical
But
existence.
This is the crux. Non-being, it's impossible. Non-being is impossible.
Why is it impossible?
Because you can't know it.
You're making.
why I find
Well,
it
one
tricky.
second. No, you're following a fallacy because you're saying
How can
that
it be?
that being is contingent upon knowledge, but that depends upon who's the knower.
I am always the knower.
You're not always going to be the knower.
I have to be.
Did you know
How
before
can
you
I
were
not
born?
know?
Did you know yourself before you were born?
All I've known is to be.
So you don't know yourself before you were born.
I've only lived.
Did your parents know a time when you didn't exist?
Did my parents know a time when I didn't exist? I've always existed.
No, that's not my question.
Yeah, but I can't. This is a.
Do your parents know a time when you didn't exist?
Did my parents? Let me think about that. Did my parents know a time? Well, who am I then in that case?
That's not my question.
Yeah, no, but that's my answer. That's my answer to your question. Who am I?
Well,
Who am I?
in terms of an exist, but that doesn't. No
Can
offense.
you know not being?
Sophism is not a response to the question. The question
it's
is,
a good answer.
did your parents? It's a clever sounding answer, but it's not an answer. Did your parents know a time when you didn't exist?
But, the character of who I am as a name, a being, named being, yes.
Right. So your parents didn't. Your parents knew a time when you didn't
The
exist,
character of me, the physicality of
And
me.
this
but
is why-
ironically, I've always existed.
and this is why being is not contingent on knowledge.
Contingent on knowledge. Yeah, but I don't think you've answered
Knowledge
my
is
question.
contingent on being.
Can you experience non-being?
Yeah, but that's making existence contingent on knowledge. I'm saying it's the other way around.
Existence is always.
Knowledge is contingent on being, not the other way around.
Knowledge is contingent on being. Knowledge. I don't know. I just can't see the. I don't quite get that. As you don't quite get my perspective.
No, I get it. I just think it's nonsense.
So you think you can experience non-being?
I am saying that
That's-
there was a time when you did not
No,
exist.
but I'm not. What is? Who am I? I answer then in that question.
Or do you believe in it? Do you believe that you're the only being in existence?
The only being I believe there is eternal being, and whatever form it takes, it's always going to be being.
So you think that we're all one?
Ultimately, yes.
Right. Okay. I get it. So it is a kind of pantheism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Now I understand where you're coming from. Now,
That's what I observe. That's not a belief system. I only see one moment. There's
Yeah.
one moment, divided into the many, and that's observable. It's not a belief. I can see it.
Yeah.
Because there's only
it's a narrative that you superimpose upon it.
Well, no, I see it. I experience it. I'm experiencing it now. This is happening. There's one moment, and there's many perspectives within that moment.
Yeah, but I'm a different being to you.
Yes, but we still share the moment, don't we? We
The
share
cells in
space.
your left hand are different to the cells in your right hand.
Well, actually, I mean, if you want to get really technical about it, there is and I'll use the sun as an example.
Yeah.
We're experiencing the sun now, but what we're seeing is 8 minutes old.
Yeah, I understand.
You know, and even though it's imperceptible, there is a fraction in time between you speaking and me hearing.
Yeah.
Okay, so so from a physical point of view, we are not experiencing the same moment. From a physical point of view, we are experiencing two different moments. The moment of you speaking and the moment of me hearing.
That's the illusion of time within the moment. For me, the time divides within itself. So,
Time is illusion.
Yes, ultimately. I would say this. Okay, say you left someone this morning and you say goodbye to them, right? And you've come here. Now, in your mind, you can remember that, right? It happened in your head. And you can, when you visualise that person, it'll be a memory of maybe you walking out the front door and saying goodbye. And that gives the illusion of something that happened in the past. But that person is here, is present here, over there maybe, or wherever, maybe 10 miles in that direction. They're always present.
Yeah.
Everything is always present. That's how I understand it.
Well, I mean, you have a problem with thermodynamics because that would contradict you completely. And I agree with the physics. I no offence. What's your name, bro? Alex. I mean this in the nicest possible way, but it is going to be a put down. You're essentially just practicing sophism. But the illusion, but well, no. The rhetoric is sophism. But you're right. Maybe the philosophy, but his philosophy is pantheism. So the past.
Show me it.
The past. Look at your photos from your parents.
But I'm
That's the
looking at them
past.
in the present.
Yeah, but it's the past,
Show
bro.
me yesterday.
Is it exactly?
Can you show me
Yes,
yesterday?
I can show you 10 minutes ago via film.
Yeah, film, but you can't actually go there. You can't go back in time.
No, but we've captured it in history.
Yeah, but that's the film you're looking at, not the moment.
And this is why it's sophism. It's just wordplay.
I think okay.
How anything can ever change.
I'm not saying
That's the only thing that doesn't.
Do you believe that you're subject to corruption and change?
Yes, there's movement within the moment. This is the thing. For me, there's an overarching presence that you would call God, right? It's the one, and the one divides within itself.
No.
Not out. That's the only difference. You say that one creates something outside of itself. For me,
Yes.
it's just, I don't see that.
And
Because I observe what is.
G.K. Chesterton wrote on exactly your ideas.
Nothing
Not
is
my
but
idea.
what
G-
is not.
G-
Nothing is but what is not.
Nothing is.
G.K. Chesterton wrote on your ideas, and for me, this is why Christianity allows us to have a superior ethic than this oneness ethic. Are you sure? No, yes, absolutely. And the reason why is because love demands another. Love demands someone who is truly other to be loved. You see, if we are truly other, if we are truly other from one another,
if we're all one, then
if
we
we
are
are truly other from one another, then we can truly love. Your idea is that really I'm just loving myself when I love you, and that is the height of a selfishness.
I think there are many levels to consciousness, and you're operating on a specific frequency or idea of consciousness, and dismissing other levels of awareness. And that works for you, I understand that. And that's not to say it's incorrect.
And are you on a higher level
No,
of?
I'm not
Are
saying
you on a
that.
higher
I'm
level?
just saying that there are other levels.
And
I'm not saying
how
none.
did you arrive at this conclusion?
I'm not-
Observation?
I'm not. Yes.
Right.
I'm looking at what is.
Yeah.
You're looking at what you wish to be.
No, scientists also look at what is, and they would agree with me, not you, that time
I'm not
is
sure
real.
That's true.
Yeah, they would. They would. They would.
would.
So scientists don't believe in thermodynamics.
Thermodynamics.
They don't believe in
That's not what you're saying, is
thermodynamics.
it? That's not your whole.
I'm
argument.
saying it's subject to corruption and change.
No. So what is?
No, that is what I'm saying. Don't put words in my mouth. I'm saying that he's subject to corruption and
That's loaded.
change.
Just by saying corruption is loaded.
No,
What's wrong with
that's
corruption? Are you talking about entropy?
that's exactly what thermodynamics.
What's wrong
Yes,
with
thank you.
decay? Decay is.
So,
part-
do you agree with thermodynamics?
Entropy.
Right.
Yeah.
So, do you agree that you're subject to corruption and change?
Everything atoms form into intelligence as they decay. They reform into.
That's
stars
the arrow
come
of
and go.
time.
Well, yeah, you could say
No.
That is the arrow of time. That is exactly what the arrow of time
Space
is.
one thing. There is no time.
Thermodynamics.
that has an arrow.
This is a scientific
Entropy.
phrase,
Yeah,
bro.
Entropy is. I know, but what you.
Oh, so you do. So I'm not wrong then to say that this is the arrow of time.
It's a very narrow perspective of what you're saying. First of all, when you said if you love him, it's to a selfish love because you're loving him. What I would say is if you harm him, it's a foolish harm because we are one. That's the opposite.
So are you also a pantheist?
I'm a non-dualist.
A non-dualist. So you believe in metaphysics, metaphysical realities.
Same belief. This is.
So you guys have the same belief. I just want to make sure.
Consciousness is the only reality.
Because I might end up having two different arguments.
No.
So consciousness is the only reality. Okay, right. So
And it's an infinite awareness.
So a stone is not a real thing.
What's your definition of real?
What is my definition of real?
Yeah.
Something that I can experience and encounter.
Experience and encounter.
Yeah.
So everything that you can't experience and encounter is unreal, or what you're saying?
Anything that I can't experience or encounter is unknown.
Like your soul.
No, I can experience my soul.
Okay, but the issue about reality is if you look at what is a stone made of?
Atoms.
Atoms. What's below? What atoms made of?
Flipping heck, quarks.
Quarks, muons, up, down, straight.
Yeah.
So what are they made of?
Well, we don't know that.
Fields.
Well, no, that's string theory, and that's a hypothesis.
No, it's not string theory.
No.
It is fields.
Yeah.
String theory.
I mean, we could get into a debate about physics, but I'm just saying that
But there is
that's
no
a
difference
theory.
in the reality of a stone to you or to anything else.
There is a difference.
And if you were to
Can a stone have this conversation with you?
If you were to observe the stone microscopically,
Can a stone have this
with an
conversation?
electron microscope. If you observe it,
Yeah.
what are you actually finding? 'Cause
You'll-
you said you have to observe it for it to be real.
Yeah.
But if you were able to put
Can I touch a stone?
To be able to put your finger on.
Can I
what
chuck a
it's-
stone?
If you want to make it a very simple argument of,
But it really is a
O-level-
simple-
of O-level physics.
But it really is that simple.
No, it's not.
Because the reality is that a stone and me are not the same thing. I'm a conscious being. I have knowledge.
Yeah, but you're contingent
stone.
upon the rock of the earth, aren't you?
I'm contingent upon atoms, yes.
There's a slime mould
There's
of
a syzygy
conscious
there,
being.
right?
A slime, not to my knowledge.
So out for you.
I doubt it.
For you, what in your life is there anything that has never changed? Talking about entropy. So your body changes, your thoughts changes, your emotions changes, and your beliefs change. What? Is there anything that hasn't changed?
God does not change.
No. For you, in you,
Oh, in me.
it's your experience.
In me.
Experience.
In me. In
Your
me.
experience.
In my experience or in me? Because those are two different
Both.
questions. So I'll have to answer them separately because those are two separate questions. In me, everything has changed.
Everything has changed. Yes?
But God has not changed.
So there's nothing that has never changed in you.
In me, no.
Yeah.
Everything
So I
has
would
changed in
argue
me.
There is one thing that has never changed.
Which is?
I will go. I will explain. Well, I was trying to explain it.
Move towards that.
There,
It was only ever
there is
felt
one thing that hasn't changed, and let's see if you agree with me. You may disagree. Okay. So as you grew up, little 5-year-old
I've eaten
bodybuilder,
sustained it when I died.
what was your experience of the world? What did you experience? Thoughts, feelings, mum, parents, family, the outside world,
Yep.
the emotional world,
Yep.
the psychological world.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
That's what you experienced.
Yep.
What experienced those things?
Well, me at the time.
No, who's me though?
Are we talking about consciousness?
We're talking about perception, awareness. So
Yeah.
it's the awareness.
The self.
No. Well, it depends. Saying the self, it can be defined in lots of different ways.
I know it can.
But if we talk about infinite awareness or awareness, it's awareness, being aware of thoughts, feelings, body, outside world, inside world. But that awareness, I think you would agree, has never changed in you. That he agrees with that.
No, fair enough. I would say I disagree because myself, when I was born, I was short-sighted. In fact, we all were. When we're born, we're short-sighted. We can hear before we can speak. Our interaction with the world is something that is dependent upon our senses, is dependent upon our consciousness, and my view of the consciousness is that it is essentially the tentacles of an octopus. The real self is much deeper than what we perceive as the consciousness
Is that what you tell the
being.
girls?
I know, it's why I'm single.
real
But
self
like,
is the present.
you're never going to chat up a girl with that line, Steve. Trust me, I've tried. Do you know, love, that your conscious self is really just the tentacles of your inner being?
I think that do try to do the definitions when you talk about real and self and all these different things, because otherwise it will just get a bit kind of rounded. So what are you saying? My argument is that the awareness of yourself
Changed.
is the thing that hasn't and never changes.
No, I disagree.
So you are an awareness, and you're aware of those things when you were even before you were born.
It's observably false, and I'll show you why. No, it's observably false. It's observably false.
Okay.
I'm going to demonstrate why it's observably false. I mean, you may have children, you may not. But if you have children, just remember back to when they were 1 and 2 and they discover their own foot. And they try to stick their foot in the mouth. Because a child in its earliest form tries to explore the mouth through its sense of taste. That's why they stick everything in their mouth. You know, it's one of the cutest things in the world to watch a baby who's just discovered toes.
Sure.
So they're not aware. Awareness develops.
I think you mean conscious, cognitive understanding is different from awareness. If you look at a dog...
No, I don't think those things are separate.
If you think a dog, right?
Yeah.
Does a dog have awareness?
Yes.
And what is it aware of?
It's aware of itself.
Aware of what? What's itself?
It's aware of its body.
It's aware of its body, it's aware of its thoughts.
It's aware of other bodies.
Of its cognitions, of its smells, of its senses.
Yeah, it's aware of other bodies.
So it's that awareness that I'm talking about.
Yeah, but that awareness is contingent upon the senses.
So no, I think the argument you're making is that you need the brain and the body to have the consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the issue is that it
Without brain and body, there is no consciousness.
But the
Is that wrong?
without no, yeah, I would
Unless
say
you're in
that's
soul,
wrong.
where you talk about.
So you're saying you can have consciousness without either brain or body. Can you give me an example? Can you?
A dream.
Is in the brain.
Okay. So the
You do know. Wait.
No,
You do know we've
have a
scanned
dream.
we've scanned human beings having dreams. We know that it's an activity of the brain.
My argument is that there's the super consciousness made, which is this representative reality that we have, and then there's microcosms of consciousness that are limited in their perception limited by their senses and their brain. So you don't see ultraviolet light, or you don't see certain aspects of light.
Yeah.
It's not that they're not there. We're limited by our body, mind, and experience.
But don't you see how that demonstrates that existence is separate from consciousness?
Sorry, say it again. Existence.
Is separate from consciousness. Ultraviolet light is there whether we're conscious of it or not.
That doesn't make a broad argument one way or the other.
Because remember, what I'm saying to you guys, and I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop because I'm tired. But also, like for me, it's kind of like I don't see this conversation progressing much. But for me, one of the key differences between my position and your position, as I understand it, is that I'm saying that consciousness is dependent on being. If I understand your position properly, what you're saying is that being is dependent upon consciousness.
What is consciousness?
Well, the consciousness is the froth of the brain. It is the tentacles of the octopus.
I'm not talking
I
about
would say
consciousness. I'm talking about
light almost. That's the background for me.
And I just see this.
I mean, light, energy.
To me,
that's consciousness. You'll make it for me. It's an event, everything that comes from the sun has made our bodies atomic.
Agreed.
Photons, great particles down to light waves.
I agree.
Consciousness for me is light in various manifestations. It's a boundless presence that can make whatever it wants.
You know the Bible describes God as light.
Yes.
Have you got a Bible?
I agree with that. I agree. If you want to call God light, that works for me. And therefore, God is consciousness.
Have you? Yes, absolutely. God is being.
But for me, the light bricks itself up in form to know itself. That's the difference. That's pantheism versus theism.
Yeah, but the problem with that, there's multiple problems with that. Firstly, the multiple
what divides to make.
The multiple problems with that.
Yeah.
To name but two,
if thine eye be single,
is one
filled with light, right?
is one that ultimately this is an ethic for self-love and selfishness, and the idea of disappearing and the idea of disappearing into your own mind, solipsism. The other problem. That's why the other problem is that it has zero explanation for contingency or thermodynamics. So I want to show you something.
If thine eye be single, you should be filled with light. That's an interesting passage, right? Talking about singularity, the one.
Yeah, I want to show you something. Because what I'm trying to show you is my position. Yeah, my position. Yeah. So this is why I believe so firmly that knowledge is contingent on being. God said in Exodus chapter 3, verses 13, "Then Moses said to God, Behold, I am going to the sons of Israel, and I will say to them, The God of your fathers has sent me to you. Now they may say to me, What is his name? What shall I say to them? God said to Moses, I am who I am.
Yes.
Say to the people of Israel, I am has sent me to you. So knowledge is contingent on being.
I would say that I am is always, right? It's never been born, never will die. Is,
Correct,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Right. I would say that all that partakes of existence partakes of that.
Except that all the evidence demonstrates the opposite.
You thought this was a problem of non-dual perspective that we're taking. However, with a dualistic view, not only do you have the physical and the spiritual as separate.
I don't have a dualistic view like that.
You're saying that the rock is separate to the spirit.
I'm saying that the rock doesn't have is separate, is different to me. I don't think that's a controversial statement.
Are you saying it's separate from the spirit?
I am saying.
Could you tell me it was made out of rock before?
Yes.
Okay.
So no, what I said was, and let's be clear, what I said was that I am not the same thing as the rock.
Right, so that's a separation then.
Yeah.
So you've got the rock and separate for you.
Yeah.
With a non-dual perspective, there is no separation.
Yeah.
But what the...
then why are you talking to me?
Because you need to let me finish. If you go along with your religion to its highest degree, you're going to have the ultimate duality of a heaven and a hell. And whilst you're in heaven, lording it up and saying, well, I was so great at Speaker's Corner and everything, all your loved ones and many other spirits are going to be burning in hellfire
They're destroyed,
forever.
aren't they?
Well, I mean, people have different beliefs about that.
Yeah, it's true.
But this is the kind of dualistic kind of end that can come at the extremes of one's view. And ultimately, also, if God is all-powerful, how do you have a universe that is outside of that power? Because then it's like, well, if you've got the sun or any of us having some power, then God doesn't have all the power.
So one of the and this really must be my end. Next time JC comes back, we'll have to stop
no
abruptly.
end, my friend.
So in one of time
beginning.
Maybe it's your beginning.
time would suggest
no
otherwise.
beginning or end.
Time
Anyway,
would
go on.
suggest
Yeah.
otherwise.
Go on.
Time
Only the
would suggest
eternal
otherwise, and so would entropy. You're all going to die, guys. It's a fact. There will be a point at which you cease to exist. That is a reality.
God is beyond life.
And you have to face that ultimate reality, that you are going to die.
The personality dies.
Thank you.
But the infinite
So that's an end.
awareness is which is what we all are.
But that
never
infinite
dies.
awareness is a non-observable thing, and here's my other problem. And here's my other problem. And here's my other problem. Many. Here's my other problem. Here's my other problem. You've just experienced them. Here's my other problem. Is that all of this is just your conjecture?
No,
It's not.
Has God
How many
spoken to you?
moments
Has
are
this
there,
being
man?
spoken to you?
Yeah,
Has He revealed Himself to you?
Can I give you a quick?
Everyone has that. It's your interpretation of how you interpret it.
Can I have a
You're
quick-
looking at words and saying this is the truth.
You-
Words-
Do you agree with him?
Yeah.
oh, for sure.
Are you all part of the oneness brigade?
But no, but brother, it's because you look in your own direct experience.
Why did you
right
call me
now.
brother?
Because I respect the dualistic experience too.
No, but I'm not offended by it. I'm just pointing out that the fact that you call me brother acknowledges that we're not the same.
No. On the dualistic level, of course, there's difference. We need difference, otherwise there's no experience at all.
I mean,
that's why the duality
it is actually observable that we are not the same.
No, but the single,
Like we're literally
the
talking
single-
to one
The
another.
moment
There's only
itself
one moment,
is
that's
one.
what he's saying.
Exactly. The
I mean,
moment
you
is
can
one.
say there's only one moment
God's
as
having a
much as you
conversation
like,
with himself.
but the reality is we have just passed through time and
No,
you've
no,
all
no, no,
experienced
no.
it.
How long has it
If
been
this
since I've
finger
been
was
talking?
talking to this finger, they might think they're very separate, but they're not, are they?
The fingers don't talk, bro. People talk.
I think that's a flexibility of thinking. When I think if they
Yeah.
think.
So-
okay, but the other
You
thing
might say
is
it's been
that
like
in
5
your
minutes
belief,
since I arrived. You might
in
say
your
it's been 7 minutes.
in
Show
your
me the
belief,
past.
you need
What's the real
a
time?
book
It's in your
and a
mind.
person. In fact, I would say, and these guys might agree, that actually Jesus probably had this kind of belief in his
He would have
teachings
had an
anyway.
experience of it.
But that is maybe corrupted. I don't know. But if if your belief is that you need a book and a person to tell you about reality, then that causes a big problem for you across the universe and across time, when actually, you can be fooled by the kind of human mind. Both in the problem of it is that you get into a dualistic argument with yourself and with other people, when actually, that the whole religions could be explained by other things, but infinite awareness is the truth.
This kind of this kind of sophism.
Sophism means that you are the only. It's a different version.
I know. I'm not saying solipsism.
Solipsism.
I'm not saying solipsism. I'm saying sophism. It is just wordplay. When you encounter observable reality,
What's the source
that
of the
I am the observer. Yeah.
What is that I am?
It ain't your I.
What is that I am?
I am that my observation is not your observation.
What is the I am that's perceiving right now?
Myself.
What is that?
Yeah, it's my consciousness.
My consciousness.
Yes.
So what is it? What is it? My consciousness.
It is my being,
Your being.
which is not yours.
What is your being?
My being is my
Describe
existence.
Your existence.
Yeah.
So existence itself. At what point does it split itself?
It doesn't split itself.
Oh, so we're the same.
No,
Fundamentally.
hold on one second.
Fundamentally.
You're just randomly connecting
No, it's not random.
sentences
You just said
together.
existence doesn't
I have
split
just
itself.
said, no, I said that my existence doesn't split itself. But if you'd listened carefully to what I said, I maintained the idea that there is a distinction between my existence and your
Depends
existence.
what you mean by mine. You haven't explained what this I am is yet.
My existence is my observation of the world. You are literally half a meter away
What is
from
that
me.
which is
You are
perceiving?
not the same.
What is that which is perceiving?
I am perceiving myself.
What is that I
The
am?
self is
What is
perceiving.
the self?
My consciousness.
What is the consciousness? What is
My
consciousness?
existence.
You own the consciousness.
I own my own consciousness.
What is it, bro?
Yeah. I've just tried. Look, sophism
No.
isn't
What
a
does that mean?
response.
What does that mean? I don't
You're
know.
just word
No,
plays,
it's a
guys.
question that you're not asking me. You're just saying repeatedly. It's fine,
Because-
it's fine,
because-
what is consciousness? That's my
Well,
question for you.
consciousness
Very clear.
is the tentacles of the octopus. It is the tentacle. Consciousness is the tentacles of the deeper self.
Where did you read that?
So what's the deeper? So there's something deeper than consciousness.
Yes.
What is that?
Your consciousness, this thing that you perceive as consciousness.
No.
I think we've got a
It's
different
before
agreement about
perception.
Well, okay.
Before
So he asked me what my view of consciousness was.
Before perception.
Yeah, he asked me what my view of consciousness was. My view of consciousness, yeah. But I'm going to stop, guys, because it's just going round and round in circles.
Not really.
You know,
Exactly. It's
consciousness,
it's
consciousness.
It's actually very good.
But
You haven't
my
challenged
understanding,
before,
my
bro.
understanding. No, really, you're not challenging me, honestly.
Oh, I know.
Like
You
my
haven't asked for
consciousness,
consciousness.
my I've just told you, consciousness is the tentacles of the deeper self.
What does that mean? What's the deeper
Right.
self?
Okay.
brother?
The
That's poetry.
deeper self is that which makes the decisions.
Decisions.
Yes.
So what's aware of those decisions?
Your consciousns.
So the consciousness is deeper than the deeper self, then.
No, the consciousness, look, brother. We've already,
what you're saying.
we've already observed that people make decisions before they are aware of them. This has been observed. It's been scientifically tested. Yes, but a person who is self-aware will make decisions before they are conscious that they've made a decision. The consciousness is the tentacle of the deeper self. Your deeper self is that which makes the decisions. Your consciousness, your consciousness is the input-output. Your consciousness is the input-output gate.
What's that deeper self? How are they making decisions?
That's your brain.
Your brain is your deeper self.
Yes, that's where your deeper self resides.
So no, so
It's
not
a
my
decision
deeper self.
engine.
So it's not my
Then what's
deeper
aware
self.
of the
You just said
decision
it's my
engine?
brain.
That's called the
It's
unconscious.
a conditioned mind.
Can you get JC? I want to go. I don't want to leave his camera. Or could you grab his camera?
Yeah,
Right.
It's limited by the
Guys,
brain.
it was lovely talking to you. It was lovely talking to you.
You too, man.
All right, until next time. Until next time. It's lovely talking to you. Next time. I just got tired of going round in circles.
Jesus is an allegory.
I got tired of going round in circles. Peace with you. How we doing,
How are
bro?
you?
Good to see you.
Andrew.
Loving that cross of St. Andrew. Loving the cross of St. Andrew.
I'm off this week. I'm going to Scotland for 1 week.
Okay.
I'm back next Monday. I'll send you an email whenever you're free, anytime.
Yeah, I am back next week, so we can try and arrange to meet up. Yeah, God willing.
He will tell you Jesus Christ is my son, the Holy Way.